Hey, this is your boy Jay Steve from the Soul Fresh Podcast. And before we get started, make sure you go to YouTube, smash that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Now that that's out the way, let's get it.
All right, welcome back to the Soul Fresh Podcast. I'm your host, BK.
And I'm your host, Jay Steve.
Jay Steve, what's going on, man?
Brother, we have a lot going on today. It's a lot we're going to get into.
We got a lot going on, period.
Period. Yeah, not just today. In the world.
In the world. We got war. We got high-ass gas prices.
Mental health is going to be a big thing that we're going to discuss today on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like you said, war. That's one thing, you know.
Yeah. What's up with your boy Calvin Ridley?
He would be my boy. Okay. All right, so we're gonna touch on Calvin Ridley right quick. This joker, who plays for the NFL, by the way.
Yeah.
People, he plays for the NFL. Take this in mind. Decided to gamble and bet on the NFL, which was dumb in itself. This was really stupid. You know who he bet on? He bet on the Falcons to win.
Yeah. But how much did he bet?
$1,500. How Stephen A. Smith say? $1,500. $1,500. $1,500.
That was almost like Allen Iverson when he was like, practice.
Yeah. But that's not the only thing that really gets me about it. You spent $1,500 to do parlay bets on the Falcons. Okay, you did it three different times during 1 week period.
Yeah.
Come find out he ended up winning down because they were playing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Right.
This is the real crazy thing about it, I found out. He didn't start placing his bets till the second half of the game. Now, come to find out, he actually ended up spending a total of $32,000 on other bets too that they just found out that he was making.
Saw that pop up.
So now his grand total, his profits that he made off of all those bets was a profit of $2,000. That's it. Lost 32, and then on top of that, his whole $11 million contract for this next season, guess where it's at? Gone.
It's crazy.
You a special kind of stupid.
He said he was dealing with mental health, right?
That's what he said. That was his initial reason. I have to get a step away from the team. I'm dealing with mental issues, everything like that. But the same week that you stepped away from the game, saying that you had mental issues, is the week that you started gambling.
Yeah.
So either you knew what you were doing or you have a problem.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be, revealed that he probably has a problem.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're here. If you're wondering what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about a serious major issue which is plaguing our community, and it has been for some time. We're going to be talking about mental health and mental illness and everything that falls up under that umbrella, and we're going to really get into a great conversation about it. I mean, it's just so much to talk about and so many different avenues that you can take when we're talking about mental illness. I mean, we've had podcasts that we've done in the past. Actually, I think our very first one was about mental illness, but we kind of specifically talked about mental illness and anxiety.
Right.
Which I was being transparent and say, through this whole pandemic and dealing with loss of life or whatever, I kind of just developed this anxiety thing. But, talking to a therapist, maybe that might have had started a long time ago. It's just that it took that whole pandemic and COVID experience for it to just bubble over.
Right.
And so we're going to get into a great conversation about that. And also we're going to segue into how that affects hip hop and our current state of hip hop. And, that's a great discussion that we always like to have, is just what's going on. I always feel it affects our community.
Yeah.
And there might be some mental illness behind that. That's just my opinion. I might have somebody to come on here and agree with me, but, and then we're going to slide into that Kanye, that Yeezy, talk about that genius.
We're going to talk about that genius a little bit, even though.
Genius.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it.
All right, so we got a real dope cat coming on today, talk with us about mental health. Very qualified. I mean, we had his brother on before, and of course, when he came on the last time, he was just spitting facts. I mean, even the way he talks is like he's spitting rhymes,
Genius.
And so I hit him up, or me and Steve both hit him up or whatnot, and we just had to have him come back because I mean his intellect, his conversation, well versed on just several different topics, and this was a real good topic. I felt that he can just chime in on, especially on our segue to talking about hip hop. So let's give it up for Mike Jones.
Hey, yo.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I appreciate that, man. Y'all might be hyping me up a little bit too much.
Nah, man, we're not giving you enough kudos.
Mike, what's going on, man?
Nothing too much,
Hey,
man.
for the folks who didn't catch it the first time, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so last time when I came on, I was actually a candidate for Post 5 City Council. So I didn't really get a chance to talk too much about my personal life. It was more so about elections, campaigns, and what you need to do during that. But as far as me, myself, 33-year-old millennial, I am a podcaster myself. Got a show called Controversial Conversation. I rap, I write, spoken word, do a whole bunch of different things.
Okay.
But on the politics side, I do political strategizing. So I work with campaigns, I work with political organizations, and I help them kind of craft their narratives, help them dispel disinformation. I do speech writing, we do public speaking courses and things like that. So we just really try to help candidates get more familiar on the trail with how to understand the politics behind politics. So that's really just me in a nutshell. I just like to kind of help in the community, do what I can. Got a few passions that I'd like to chase, and there's just this dream that I've been chasing forever. So that's me.
Okay, cool.
Sounds real good.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Head first.
Okay.
All right, mental health, our current state. So as you know, I'm not gonna lie. For me, we was talking about this the other day. I remember there was a time when we're going to jump right on into suicide just for a little bit. I remember when there was a time when you hear the word suicide or you found out that somebody committed suicide, we didn't even bat an eye to even think that it would be somebody of color, right? That's just me personally. And then, lately, that's all I've been hearing.
Yeah.
And then, the numbers are just rising and just plaguing the black community, black and brown communities, as far as the suicide rates. And I remember, we used to be ignorant enough to say stuff a long time ago, like, man, that's some white folks ish.
I know that ain't none of us.
Not anymore. Right, but, even in the opioid pandemic, it's the same situation. We used to say, man, that's some white folks ish.
Yeah. We don't take pills.
We don't take pills. Like, taking pills and committing suicide.
Now you're watching Carlton on Bel Air snorting Xannies.
Yeah. Wow. So, so let's dive into that as far as the numbers that are how it's changing and your opinion on why do you feel that we have reached this point in 2022 and not just this year, it's been going on for years, but we got several situations where former Miss America, I believe it was, she was former Miss America. Former Miss America, she, jumped out of a balcony, left a note and says, hey, I leave everything to my mom. So in this time of social media, just drama, everything, what do you feel like is the issue so far?
Oof. Yeah, that's a lot. To be honest with you, I think the best way to answer this question is personal experience. So after the election, we lost. And, there's things that happen. You got to go through a process of grieving, of mourning, of what could have been, this, that, and the other. And you got to find a way to get yourself back up. Some people don't. I was one of the people who I had something I could throw myself into, but once that was done and the voices were no longer there and it was just quiet and it was just me and my thoughts, that's when I had time to really, really go through what I was actually processing. I had a mental breakdown and I literally was on the verge of suicide. I had suicidal ideations. I have a 9mm that's registered to me and it was in my glove compartment every day. As I was driving, I was looking at this gun. I was thinking, why am I still here? What am I doing? And it wasn't because of the election. It was the fact that I felt lost. I had nothing going on in my life at that moment. So I had no real full-time job during the election. So after that, I had no real foundation to go back to. So now it's like, what do I do? I'm just driving every day. I'm not making enough money. I'm struggling. Nobody really knows because I can't tell people. I still have a public persona. I got an image I got to keep up because I'm still going to city council meetings. I'm still helping with this and stuff like that. And I'm running into people and they're like, yo, it's good to see you. You're going to run for this. You're going to run for that. In the back of my mind, I'm like, yo, I might not even be here next week.
Right.
And I think it's the fact that in my mind, I was too scared to talk to people truthfully about what I was going through. And I think there is this overwhelming sensation to hide it. Just keep it. Don't tell anybody anything that you're going through. And I just kind of feel like that is a bigger issue that we have. It's just we're scared to talk about these thoughts that we have because, like you said, there is a stigma when it comes to mental health. And it's like, I don't want to be perceived crazy. I don't want to be perceived as weak, and, you know, this, that, and the other. But you got to have those conversations. And I think we're finally having those conversations now. People are more qualified to talk about it. We have celebrities that are like, hey, I have anxiety. I have depression. I have, you know, these issues. And I think now that it's become more mainstream, more mainstream, it's easier for us to talk about.
Because around that time, when I was 2016, 2017, and like you said, back then, a lot of people, they were still scared, like you said, to even let the person know, like, he's been my best friend forever, but it's not like we were picking up the phone during that time saying, hey, man, you know, I got something on my mind. I don't know what it is. I can't shake it. I've got this feeling, like something's on me, and I don't know how to get it off. But like you said, a lot of people, the only way they feel like they can get that off of them is like, you know what, it'd be better if I'm just not here. But like I tell people all the time, if you just need somebody to talk to, and that was always one of my issues as well, being scared to just talk to somebody. And you don't realize sometimes a 5-minute conversation can probably add 5 to 15 years to your life because you never know. 5 minutes,
without a doubt,
you know, before that, you could have been wanting to go.
And how do we get to that point, though, where we get to be scared to talk to people? You know, and so, like, does that come from this whole masculinity identity as far as how we're being groomed and raised? Because as men, I feel like we deal with so much things to be bottled up. There's a pressure to have this level of confidence. There's a pressure to you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that. So I think we get a lot of things bottled up on this masculinity that we're supposed to keep.
Oh yeah,
and exposed to people because we're not supposed to be seen as weak, right?
Right.
You know. So you feel that has something to do with it as far as how do we get to the point where we can't talk to people?
Yeah, especially in our community, because as black men, you have to shoulder more. You know, you got to hold on to everything that you take emotionally and then still keep going. And what we do is we kind of allow ourselves to like take all of that anger and we turn it into, you know, unproductive outlets. And that's why we have these other issues in our relationships. We don't realize that we're literally suffering from depression when we have irritability bouts, when we just have an anger fit for no reason.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Anger is a secondary emotion. So you have to dig deep. Why am I feeling this anger? And then you realize I'm scared, I'm hurt. There's something I'm going through. I need help. And I think when you can finally be honest with yourself and say, I need help, then that's when you can finally actually reach out to people. But you do got to have the support system. I was lucky enough to have that. I called my mom and I talked to her. I called my best friend, my business partner, and I talked to him. You know, I reached out to my boy and I reached out to, you know, somebody that I was with, and I talked to them. I let them know, like, look, I don't want to be here. I can't do this anymore. There's no reason for me to keep doing this. And to be honest, I felt selfish talking to them about it like that also. You know, there's a selfish feeling. It's like, I don't want to put this on you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't want to burden you with what I'm going with or going through. And I think that was another issue that a lot of us come to when it's like, I don't want you to have to also feel what I'm feeling.
That's one. I think that's one of the biggest issues as well. And plus, not just the burden, also you feel like maybe they'll turn that other cheek towards you. Oh, something's wrong with you. Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm not an expert. Don't know what to tell you. Good luck. Right. I mean, because a lot of that happens.
You get that, cuz I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you,
It is what it is.
It is what it is,
and that's
man.
what we do too much.
Hey, man, you need to suck it up, man, and deal with it. You know?
And see, that's to go back to what you were just talking about in the community, you as well, Mike. It's not about the community itself. I think it goes back to just being a black man, period. Because when you go back and look, start from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s up, all right, daddy had 2-3 jobs at the minimum, mostly, you know, for the struggling households and everything like that. You never heard dad come home saying, you know what, babe, I just can't handle it. It's too rough for me.
Yeah, because he's designed not to do that.
Right.
You know?
And do you think that stems, and I just, question for you too as well, Mike, basically pretty much, do you think that stems back from going back to that systemic racism and psychological drumming down that they did to our people over the years, and it finally turned into this stress and this lifestyle of people wanting to just not be here or fight anymore.
But before he answers, I think that's more of just a man issue, because like I say, that generation, that's how they were groomed, and that's how it's been passed down to, like, don't cry.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Suck it up.
Deal with it, because you can't be seen as weak.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And then it's funny how we kind of joan on this new generation, like, man, these kids soft. These kids soft as hell. They want to let all their emotions out. But
they want to be
they might be onto something though.
Yeah.
Because we come from a time where we're probably pretty much the last generation that came through that cycle of stop crying, suck it up,
work hard.
Yeah.
And when you get through working hard, work even harder.
Yeah. So you go ahead, Mike.
I actually agree with both of what y'all are saying. I think that there's this issue of like post-traumatic slave syndrome that we don't really talk about. It's the residual traumatic effects that we all feel in the Black community that aren't addressed. So when we talk about generational curses, those are the things that we need to break. So you're talking about one specifically with mental health. How do we break that generational curse? How do we make it not taboo to talk in Black households about this? How do we make it seem like, yo, this is not me being crazy. This is me telling you I need help. All right, now let's figure out a plan. Let's talk to each other. Let's figure this next plan out and stuff like that. So I think there's so many things that we just haven't taken time to actually address as a community. And I think that stems from like a lack of leadership. We're so disorganized right now, and I think that really hurts us coming together to make this more of a mainstream thing in the community, talking about mental health and feeling like it's not something to shy away from and stuff like that. But I do agree, though. There's always been this notion that, hey, I'm a man. I have to do this, and I can't depend on anybody else. I can't let them know that I'm hurting and stuff like that. One of my favorite rappers, Big Crit, he's got this line where he says, can't tell them about my depression because most of them fans now.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's so real. It's like you can't talk to them people because they see you in a certain light. You don't want to change that. You know what I'm saying? They see me as this person. I got to be that person. That's daddy. Daddy's so strong. All right, I got to be Superman, right? But that means that I got to shoulder a certain emotional load. And then sometimes that manifests in other things. So now we start talking about domestic abuse. We start talking about, substance abuse. We start talking about the alcoholism that runs in the families because we don't know how to cope with our problems. So what do we do? Self-medicate. Right. So now we hitting the bottle. Now we hitting the pipe. Now we hitting the bong. We hitting everything that we can to run away from our problems because it hurts too much to address them. And I think that's another thing. Like, it's scary to deal with these things. The mind is the most powerful thing that we have, and when it's not working right, that is a very scary spot to be in.
Yeah. And it's the brain. It's probably the one organ that doesn't shut down.
Right.
Right. And when it shuts down on you, you in trouble. It's just like a computer. They talked about the rising rate of Black women having nervous breakdowns.
Yeah.
Too much, the weight on their shoulders or whatnot. And I think I forgot the statistics, whatever, but there's a high rate of just women now, probably not even Black women, just women now just involuntarily committing themselves because of breakdowns. And it's like, that once that brain shuts down.
And a lot of them are stroking out. Like the strokes are just going up and up, and just not just in one community. Yeah,
stress will give you a stroke.
Yeah.
And I found that out personally myself, that stress was making other things in my body happen, that was mimicking things like a heart attack. Like my arm was getting tight. I'm sitting there going to med stop, and my heart rate is going up. My heart beating out. Once my heart starts beating fast, I'm freaking out. I'm like, that feeling of something's going to happen.
Then your guts start getting bad.
It's funny. And every time that would happen, I would have to go blow the bathroom up.
Yes, I'm telling you, it goes hand in hand.
And then it does. I'm sweating. My face and everything is twitching. Now I'm thinking like, I'm finna have a damn stroke. And then I kept going to the med stop, kept going to the doctor, and it's like, everything's fine, man. Because, I felt stupid by the time I got to the ER or something, because it's like, I'm calmed down now. So it's like.
But they say your brain can do more damage to you
Yeah.
than anything.
Because
else.
once everything starts, my brain takes over and it's like, dude, you finna have a seizure. You finna have a stroke. You finna have a heart attack. And I've owned it. I'm like, okay, in 5 minutes, I'm finna stroke out. And I don't, and I got this thing in the back of my head like, I don't want to die, you know?
Like a few minutes ago, my hand was cramping. I was like, oh, crap. Am I about to have a heart attack right before the podcast? Like, damn, I don't want... At least there's some dudes around to help me get to the hospital.
Yeah. I think about stuff like that.
I'm serious.
Like,
It's a serious thought, but
it's like you want somebody close by, like, man, I think I'm finna stroke out. Luckily, one of my homeboys here, because, but I've ran my wife ragged with stuff like that before I actually finally kind of started to address it. And that's another conversation we got to have is how do we get everybody to get to the point where it's okay to, if you don't want to talk to your friends, talk to professional help and getting that therapist. And I kind of want to chime on that a little bit more too, as far as when we get to that therapist point, what's the best solution? I know a lot of people say, well, I'm looking for a black therapist because they can identify with me. But then, there's limited resources in the place that we're at, so, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier,
you're good.
But go ahead,
That's a good point. Whenever I was doing my research trying to find a therapist, that was my number one thing.
Yeah.
Got to find somebody black.
Googling black therapists in my area.
You know what I'm saying? And I talked to a few, but I do realize that maybe for somebody else, not me particularly, but there could be an instance where maybe outside of your race, you might find more relatability. They might have been able to find actual studies into, the black psyche that other, black doctors or psychologists might not have had their hands on. So they might be able to see you in a different light, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So you might take that chance. Me personally, I felt like it made more sense for me because I related more, and culturally it felt more comfortable, you know what I'm saying? But if that's what it takes, then use that. But I don't think it should be an excuse to not go see somebody if you don't feel like you can find somebody, your same color and stuff like that. I think that should be the number one thing for most people, because culturally you are going to identify more, and they're going to understand more about you significantly when it comes to what you're talking about, because they come from the same background. So that helps, but at the same time, that might not, be the only reason why you should go see that person.
It's funny you mention that, because I wonder if that is, one of the issues we deal with in the work, like we're talking about in the workplace, with unconscious bias.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
So it's like maybe we need to feel uncomfortable to get to certain situations. So, because I think as a culture, we love being comfortable, so we automatically gravitate. So, like, even when just talking about the workplace as an example, you see all the brothers sitting over at the table, you kind of like, where I feel comfortable at. Let me go ahead and sit over here, because that's where all the black people sitting at. So I need to feel comfortable.
You know what it is too?
What?
We even though we know how to code switch easily, we can do it. Sometimes you get tired of code switching at work because you don't want to use that part of your brain today. That's like, I want to save some of that mental for work, so I don't have time to put on an act. Not an act. What shit? It is an act. It's an act. So I don't have. Sometimes you don't have time for that. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you good. No, I was just gonna say, but sometimes being comfortable doesn't really get to the root of the problem.
Most times it doesn't.
Yeah.
You have to get out of a comfort zone. Like, allowing yourself to stay within comfortability allows you to become complacent. When you're complacent, you don't realize that you are stuck.
Yeah.
You are literally in a rut, but it's become so comfortable to you that you enjoy it at that point. It's like, all right, let me get up for work. All right, let me go home. All right, let me get up for work. And it's not even about a monotonous routine of just doing the same thing. It's about just being stuck and not realizing that you're literally stuck until you look around. You're like, damn, wow, there's a whole world out here, and I want to change that. So to me, I think that's kind of where that comes from.
I had a quick question for you, Mike, to kind of go back to what we were talking about, the household dynamic with the whole mental health. Do you think also, going back to our times growing up, even your time coming up, our parents in our community seems to me that they work more, or that they have to stay working more, or they're out of the household more. So maybe it didn't give us as much time with our parents and stuff growing up to learn how to talk to them, or to truly ask them, hey, I'm feeling like this. Can you kind of help me and tell me why?
Right. Yeah. Now we're talking socioeconomic issues. Black people on average just don't make as much. So our households are going to be reliant more on communal, the neighborhood raises the children and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for us, we don't necessarily have a chance to have a black male role model, a black female role model, a positivity that we can go to or confide in or trust at all times. So I think, a lot of us were latchkey kids, right? So we come home, there's nobody there except for the TV. So the TV teaches you. You learn through the television and stuff like that. You learn to confide in yourself. You probably become a lot more introspective. And by doing that, it makes it so much harder to start opening up. You isolate yourself. And I think a lot of black people are introverted now by nature, but I think they would probably be more extroverted if they were allowed that freedom as a child to really express themselves. So when we see kids like Jaden and Willow, Will Smith's kids, we call them weird and wild and crazy. But we've never seen black kids actually express creativity. We've never seen them in their own come into themselves. Yeah. So, we don't get a chance to do that. And I think that, stifles a lot of what we're trying to do in growing and progressing as a community and individually. So you're right. I think the dynamics of the household, they kind of limit us in times on the majority, So it kind of sucks. But, we persevere.
Yeah,
we always do.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, bro.
No, it's funny you mentioned that about using them as an example or whatever, because that's just one of the other things that plague the community that I think that puts that pressure on us to lose our minds, is that I want to be this, but I'm scared to let my homeboy show who I really am on the inside. The things I am by myself.
That fear again of being seen a certain way.
Yeah. And so many people have so many creative ideas, but then it's like, and once again, that goes back to what I said in the beginning. You're still bottling everything up, and then you're living inside your head. And sometimes, as you know, especially dealing with mental health, that's the worst place to be sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
Man.
And so we got to get to that point where we can try to create these experiences and conversations where people can feel comfortable to talk and have these conversations. But I definitely, back to what we were talking about with the therapists or whatnot, going back to feeling comfortable. I just lost my train of thought a little bit. Going back to feeling comfortable, but is it more about not wanting to, you feel comfortable telling your business to somebody that looks like you versus,
that's
your homeboys might be like, man, why you telling the white folks all your business? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Don't let them in, because it's like you're dealing with what we deal with in society versus now you're trying to really protect your mental peace. You have to make a decision.
Right.
Do I want to protect my mental peace, or do I want to still look at white folks as they are portrayed in society or whatnot?
Right. I think there's probably going to be an unconscious intention of yourself to probably hold back if you're not in front of somebody that you feel looks like you or would understand.
Good question. Do you feel like you can be honest to a white?
Do I feel like I personally could be?
Right.
I don't know. I don't think so, because I think that there's certain, I wouldn't call them judgments, but reservations that I have, about my understanding of the black culture or the black identity or perspective versus what they would have, So it kind of feels like if I say something, it's going to be misinterpreted.
Right.
So let me not say that, or let me try to figure out a better way. And then at that point, I don't say what I'm trying to say. So I feel like I probably would, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I understand that completely. I mean, that was one of the things when I first went to therapy, and they first sat me down, young white lady, very helpful. And I thought she was going to be my therapist. And then she said, well, I'm the initial person that gets you set up. She's like, but I have a wonderful person that I think would be better for you, And I was like, okay, so she recognizes something in her own mind, which I appreciated for her. And then they got me with a black therapist. And when I saw her, because even though my sister's a psychologist, but because conflict of interest, she can't be my therapist.
Right.
So when I saw this girl, I was like, okay, I can talk to somebody that looks like my sister.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And because I've always been able to confide in my sister, tell her everything. I'm talking about since we was 7, 8 years old. She was the first person to diagnose me as like, you got OCD. You keep turning that light switch on the same amount of times all the time. Something wrong with you. But so I felt so much better opening up and getting it out. And the questions I would ask her, she was able to bounce back off because she grew up in that same community. She knew the background, the ins and outs of what I was talking about, how I feel like, well, I'm not living up to this because the people that I'm around, they expect certain things from me versus Tim, Joe, and Susan. They could probably give a damn about what I'm doing. And I don't really give a damn what they think in the first place. But at the end of the day, you want to go home or you want to go to wherever, show up to your friends and say, hey, you know what? I feel pretty damn good today. You know, I went to talk to my therapist. We talked it out. She actually opened up something that I didn't even know was in there, and I feel better. How you doing today? You know, and I think that's a problem too. We don't have enough of those conversations as well, letting people know that we are going out and we have sought help and we have been getting treatment. Now we need to start giving back. We need to start paying it forward, saying, hey, I saw somewhere that you kind of wrote a cryptic little message on Facebook or whatnot. Just wanted to ask you, you good?
You good? Yeah.
Checking in.
It's funny that you mentioned that because probably in the last 2 years since that whole COVID thing started, and being transparent with people, having transparent conversations, you realize how much more people are dealing with the same things you're dealing with, and it's real comfortable when somebody's like, "Man, I was dealing with that too." And then I remember I was telling somebody about all those symptoms that I was talking about a few minutes ago. They was like, "Man, me too." Doctor blah 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 told me it was this, whatever. So and it's like now you can have these conversations. So now I got about 3, 4, 5 people now that never said nothing ever. Some of these people like, man, I've been dealing with that for about 10 years.
Yeah. Like,
I've been around you for 20.
Yeah. Hey, why didn't you tell me?
It's our community because I feel like other communities
that's that fear. Is that fear again?
I guess it's that fear. It's like everybody wants to keep it to themselves, but they deal with it in their own way. But it's amazing how I have so many people now that when we talk, we can have these conversations like, how you been doing? Now we can have a real conversation instead of like talking about sports and other bullshit or whatever. It's like now we can really get to the root of like, how are you doing?
And we have to actually answer that question too. Instead of I'm cool, I'm good.
Right.
Like we do that way too much. It's just like nice little flyby. It's like, nah, like how you doing?
Yeah.
With me and Tony and like my boy Brandon, what we do every meeting, mental health check-ins. Okay. How are you doing, my brother? Like how are you doing?
Right.
And we don't let anybody off the hook. You tell exactly what's going on. And we've had some real conversations. And that's what I love. That's what I love about my group or my circle is that I don't have to feel that fear to talk about how I'm truly feeling. If I'm really feeling something, doesn't matter what it is, they've never judged me and they never will. Like these are my brothers.
You just hit on something too. Right. Changing that circle.
Oh yeah.
That's another one.
Getting the right circle.
Yes.
So you get into a whole nother conversation.
Disconnecting from your toxic friends and the friends that are not dumping on you. Like if your homeboy's got an issue and he's dumping on you, I feel like that's more of a positive thing because that's what your real friends should do is come to your aid.
He trusts you.
Versus your friends that dumping toxic
gossip
BS on
and
you.
all that extra stuff.
Yeah.
Don't matter.
And learning how to disconnect and putting your right circle together.
I just thought back because I'm one of them people he talking about them. I used to dump.
Wait, one of what people?
I'm one of them dumpers. I used to be one of them dumpers.
Not in a bad way.
No. At one point, it would be like I was a little toxic.
Oh,
not even
when
just
you was going through your
I was going through. Here's a few
relationships.
Yeah, what's up, Steve? Oh, again.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
let me call you back.
I know you feeling. We'll talk about it. I got you, man. but then see that leads back to maybe sometimes. That will affect your mental because sometimes like, all right, I understand they don't want to hear that crap. But then you sit there for about 15, 20 minutes with yourself because you ain't talking to her.
Right.
She done took the kids. PlayStation, you don't want to play that.
Nope.
And all you got is a cat sitting in the corner looking at you playing with birds. So you sit there, you get, okay, well, my friends don't give a damn. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I need to just go into the back room, pull out my Glock and go ahead and finish it.
Them thoughts.
And I'm just saying sometimes it comes back to that. So it's like you were saying, a lot of those people aren't trying to dump per se. You may feel that it's toxic, but see, we Sagittarius.
Well, no.
So we just don't
What
take
I
time
said
for
was
crap.
toxic is
Sag.
like you Sag?
Yeah, Sag Life.
Sag Life.
Yeah,
Shout out Sag Life. Yeah. See, the problem with being part of Sag Life, Sages are very deep thinkers. We think too much, and we take it to the next extreme, and that's my thing. People understand like, how you let it get that far, or how you thinking that deep, man? I think it's me.
It's just natural.
It's how I'm built.
You will overthink yourself into an angry state, and now you just mad for the whole day.
Yes.
Just mad, like no, not even thinking about nothing else except for that one thought that pissed you off that you decided to go further with.
Yeah.
I'll play out scenarios in my head, conversations.
Yeah.
I'll have a whole I'll be done thought about the whole conversation before it's time to actually have it. Like,
And then you know what you do? You go back to the beginning where you really think the root of the issue was. You like, if I had just not said that, it wouldn't have started at all. Then you start getting mad with yourself, like, why can't you just shut the hell up for just 2 seconds? Or you should just don't press send.
And then I start geting cocky, like, it is what it is.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, you know.
I said what I said.
You know, by the end of the day, done gone by 7 miles. You're like, you know what? Why am I letting this affect me?
Yeah,
What's
like-
wrong with I'm a sage.
Sad.
It is
Get
what
right,
it is.
Steve.
Savage,
Shake it
savage.
off.
When your birthday?
November 26th.
Hey.
Hey, November 27th.
Hey,
30th.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
you right up in
Oh yeah,
there.
you deep in it. My
Yeah,
boy,
he's a good sage.
my son is at the 22nd, so he just made it, and I was like, yes, he just made it. You know, the 21st, I was like, oh,
See, that's why we get
Scorpios.
along. That's why this whole the vibe is just
That's why it worked.
yeah.
That's why it worked.
So let's go ahead and slide over into something that I feel is very important. So as you know, for me is when I'm talking about mental health and I'm talking about crime in the Black community and whatnot. So my opinion, I've had somebody that I debated with one time, and I was like, they felt like it didn't have anything to do with hip hop. I just feel that hip hop, as today's hip hop, maybe all of it from along. It depends on what you listen to, but today's hip hop, as you mentioned in a message or whatever, we talked about drill. Yeah. So today's hip hop, I think it just has a broad effect on just how we're viewed, the crime. Everything that you write is like, are you really that mad at another person that you're just gonna write a whole rhyme about? I'm about to murder the ops. I'm about to murder you. I'm about to blow your head off. I gotta pull my AK out. I gotta do this. I gotta do that or whatever. There's got to be some kind of mental health issue behind that. And of course, people can, I know the conversation always takes it back to, systemic racism, slavery or whatever. But, at some point, there's got to be some type of accountability there.
But think about this right quick, though, right before you answer. You're talking about hip hop, and all I can do is think of one song when I think at the beginning when hip hop was positive. Don't push me, because I'm close to the edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying not to lose my head. Now, don't push me, or I'm gonna pull out my Draco.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's the difference.
I do agree, and the message is what is fundamental. The message, as Grandmaster Flash, like that song right there, fundamentally changed hip hop into a conscious airway, and that's a beautiful thing. I think the problem right now, when it comes to this drill music, is the only way to be considered a drill artist is you have to have come from this street. So you have to have done certain things to get the credibility, because you're going to get checked. And a very big problem is proximity. So when we talk about geographical locations, these people are literally blood brothers, blood cousins, they're family members, but they're caught in this wave of, I'm on this side, I'm on that side. So let's just take an example. So in Chicago, we always hear about the gun violence and stuff like that, but we don't actually look deeper into what's going on. So there's this situation where you got a neighborhood called O Block, and you got a neighborhood called Tukaville. And they've just been fighting probably for the past 10, 12 years, but it goes deeper than that and it goes farther than that. But it started and it stemmed from this shooting. This guy named OD was killed, and they turned that into O Block to memorialize him. This other person, Tuka, was killed, and then they memorialized him in Tukaville. But then you start seeing all this crazy stuff. I'm smoking on Tuka. It gets really disrespectful. And so now it's like, oh, you said that about my boy. I'm riding. So now if you actually watch and look and you can line it up, the lyrics and the actual police reports, you're seeing that the lyrics literally are mimicking the truth now. So people are getting shot, people are getting killed, people are getting stolen, literally kidnapped and abducted, and they're rapping about it. There's over, I think, 25 murders in Jacksonville just between KTA and ATK. This two rivals, Youngin Ace and Fulio. And I'm just going and just watching this stuff, and I'm like, it's so crazy. But the mental part of it is a desensitization. They have they have nothing to truly live for other than chasing clout. That is the one thing that gets them out. Right. So you see your best friend killed at 10. Your OG is literally 7 years older than you. So that's who you look up to. That's the one who's teaching you everything. And now your other friend gets killed. Right? So now you don't have anything except for the people in your neighborhood. So you click up and now you're making songs because, hey, I got to get my stuff out there. I got to get rep. And it's just a continuing cycle of the more music I make about killing people, the more I can get out here. But the more I get out here, the more of a chance I have of getting killed. But the only way to get out here is to kill somebody. So if I kill somebody, their people are coming back. And folks just don't realize like how viciously that cycle is. So when we talk about going to war, in theater, in the military, we talk about PTSD when they come back. We don't talk about the PTSD that these children are living with and dealing with on these streets of Chicago, of Baltimore, of Detroit, Louisiana. There are so many things. So this music, yes, it does suck that they have to explain it in a way that they're doing it, but they are telling you the truth. They're telling you, I have so much pain. That's why they call it pain music. It might sound like they're trying to sing, but they're trying to get this thought across of like, hey, I am suffering. So I'm popping perk. I'm taking Molly. I'm drinking lean. I'm smoking weed. And I'm having meaningless sex because that's the only thing that can distract me from the fact that I have nothing else to live for. Yeah. And it's like, I don't have this homeboy. I don't have this homeboy. So now every song is R.I.P. this man, R.I.P. that guy, long live this man. Or my homies are in jail because they done did this and they done did that. It's a very, very isolating life. And I don't think they want to live that, but I think they don't really see another choice.
Yeah, but one thing I know for a fact is words are powerful.
They are.
So now what you create is copycats or templates of people who don't even live that life and who are not even exposed to that.
Exactly.
And now they want to do it. Even just kids that not even want to get involved with rap, I think it just transformed an ideology of that this is who I want to be. You know, this is how I want to live my life and this is what I want to do. I come from the birds, but now I want to act like a thug.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And even though I grew up in that 2-parent household, nice upbringing, but nah, man, I want to be in the streets.
Yeah. And so, and that's the issue that I have with it is that what it does to a society as a whole. I get it. You know, I can respect the fact that you're trying to tell your story. That's kind of how hip hop originated. It was storytelling, you know, from this is how I live in my community. But then how it transformed across the board. Now that hip hop is mainstream, you know, a lot of these guys, I'm thinking like, man, like, even if you're not trying to tell your story or you're not in a gang or whatever, it's like now that it becomes not more than just drill. It seems like now that's the thing to enter in hip hop is that you have to prove yourself from some type of street cred. You can't just be hip hop no more. You can't just rap. As far as like, oh man, what you doing rapping, man? You ain't got no, you ain't no thug. You
gotta
hard.
have some type of clout already backing you already.
Exactly.
You want to know what the real problem is though? You're not even wrong. You're 100% right. But that is what the industry has done.
Right.
We don't own one major radio station.
What I said on the last podcast.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and then what they call them industry plants a lot these days now.
Right. So they're putting money behind the same people that they get paid for when they send them to jail because they have record companies have stocks in privatized prisons. So they're promoting this music. So the next person, if I want to make it out of here, I have to do this because this is the only music that is getting listened to. So if we look at Youngboy NBA, he's got 10 million subscribers. He trends the #1 time every time he puts a song out. And he does nothing but talk about the industry, but they can't stop that.
And killing people.
Yes, and he probably has done. And there's a very interesting theory about that. I don't want to talk too much because I don't know who'll be listening and stuff like that. But so when it comes to, they say, taking bodies, there's two theories. One of them is that you take a life and then you bring a life in. So that's why you start to hear about all these kids that say they have these bodies, and you see the same amount of bodies they have are the same amount of kids they have, because in their twisted mind, they believe that by taking a life and by bringing a life,
that
it's
it
some
balances
type of salvation. Right. So like I said, there's another one that's also, so they think I'm only going to be here till I'm 21 if I'm lucky. So let me go ahead and get as many kids as I can. So that's why you start seeing 17, 16-year-olds with 4 or 5 children, because they don't think that they're going to last long. We got to change those mentalities also, because now once they're gone, you know, now you have 5 kids with no parents that are being raised within a system, and it's going to continue that way. You know, so it's a lot of issues that we have to address. But you're right, though. When it comes to this hip hop, there is an issue with this type of music being pushed, and there's an issue with this music being mimicked by people who have no business doing it at all.
And it's crazy that you brought that up about how the hip hop artists themselves these days are the ones thinking, I might not make it to C21 or something like that. I remember growing up, all we used to hear, even in movies, you see the Boys of Hood, Men Society. Man, I just wanted to make it. I just want to make it to 18.
Yep.
But it wasn't about because I was in the hip hop game and I'm worried about this dude making that record and then beef is gonna start and then I got to worry about protecting myself in the streets. Then growing up, it was, I hope I make it to 18 because the police probably gonna kill me because you know we're being raised by people that was raised in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Police might get me, lock me up, or kill me, or I'm gonna get caught up in the drug or crack cocaine game or selling heroin or something like that because that's all you could do back then. There was no hip hop outlet. So now hip hop, to me, how I kind of look at it is the new drug game. It's the new big time. It's like the snowfall of life now. I'm serious. That's the only way I can really put it because it's like the crack game was in the 80s. That's how I look at hip hop now. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no right or wrong. There's no best or worst. It's just everybody's just doing the same thing. And nobody wants anybody else to have anything. And I don't understand that at all. At least back then in the real dope game, hey, OG got it. Leave the OG alone. They don't even have respect for OGs in the hip hop game.
Nah, they running off on the plug. Like, that's literally something that they do. That's like supposed to be cool. Like, all right, man, let's set him up. We're gonna go get this ounce from him, and we're gonna run off on him.
Yeah,
like you're right. And something that I've realized, and I've talked to my boy about this a lot. We kind of dropped the ball because we didn't realize that at some point we were supposed to become the uncles and the OGs that were supposed to be ringing these kids in, having the barbecues, getting them together and teaching them the stuff. We kind of like skipped that a little bit. You know, now that we're old enough, we kind of realize like, man, there's something going on with them. Yeah. And we need to be able to correct that because if we're the ones that are seeing that issue, then we have to be the ones to step up and say something. I think it's a travesty that something as beautiful as hip hop has been, you know, decimated with this, but we can't act like from the inception that there hasn't always been, you know, violence, drugs, and stuff like that in hip hop.
Right, of course.
Because that's what's always been around us, and we've always had to speak on those things.
Yeah, but a lot of those guys, they made it. I think about it like this. Think about the Jay-Z's of the world. Everybody knows his past. He's talked about it plenty of times, whatever, whatnot. But those people are supposed to be the ones that shouldn't be worrying about music anymore. They should just be sitting down, retiring. Now, you got like KRS-One just dropped a new track the other day. It's taking KRS-One to come out of super retirement.
The professor.
You know, to come out and say, hey, man, I had to bring this back. I had to bring it all the way back to the gangstar level. You know what I'm saying? I had to go guru on y'all.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a shame that the young cats that we left it to that we thought were just going to, you know, pick it up and carry it on, they dropped it. But like Mike said, we might have dropped the ball a little bit too, but at the same time, we were trying to carry on what we knew, but we weren't understanding. I guess we were missing and not seeing that younger generation behind us were getting into more things that we weren't privy to.
They were, and I think that social media has changed the game. You know what I'm saying? You go do something. I mean, they're so stupid now. You go do something, and then you go upload that you just did it.
Yeah.
So now your location is on your social media. They tag you. Now they're showing this to the jury.
Everybody wants to be seen,
right? You know what I'm saying? Stupid. So it is dumb. But what I think we do also have to remember, though, hip hop is more than rap, right? So we get that, right? Yeah. So when we do talk about rap,
graffiti, everything,
right? Knowledge, b-boying, DJing, all that, right? So we got to think, though, when it comes to rap, there are so many different factions. So this experimental phase of what these kids are doing now is just another iteration from when Lil Jon tried to, did his thing. You know, he came with crunk. And when T.I. came with his version of trap. And when, Kendrick came with whatever version style that he has. And, so
the butterfly flow.
Right, yeah. So things continuously change. It just kind of sucks that it seems that it's changing more into a negative.
It's stuck. It's been there for a while.
Right. But there are youngins that are holding it down. There's people like YB and Cordae and them that really, really flow. But then we're not that old. I'm talking about my generation. We still have the Coles, we still have the Kendricks, and we still have those.
Me and him, we ain't that old.
Jay Electronica. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, even in that era, anything between the 45 to 32, they are making amazing music. They're
Cole.
Say it first.
Oh.
Yeah. So what kind of helped me, like going back to the mental health thing, what really helped me get through my mental break and everything like that was hip hop.
Yeah.
Right. So there were certain songs that I was listening to. So I got really big on Benny the Butcher.
Yeah.
Bruh.
You just sent me a video of that.
So
we were just talking about it earlier.
So he's got 2 songs, one with Conway and one with Freddie Gibbs, and that both of them helped me. And then there was a song that Akeem Ali, he's dude from Mississippi, really cool. Him, Earth Gang, they had another song. There's this other song.
Earth Gang just dropped that. I just told you.
Yeah, with the album they dropped.
I just told you about the album that they just dropped.
Yeah, All Eyes on Me and Amen. Both them songs got me through everything. So I'm sitting there just listening to this music, and that's what really helped me, because I was able to find just really great music. Crit dropped the album. Nick Grant dropped the album. Yo Gotti dropped the album. 2 Chainz. I mean, so much music just dropped right now, and I'm like, oh wow, I have something to really look forward to. And then I started doing my own music. I started writing again, and I was like, all right. So for me, it was finding a passion, finding a purpose. It might not always be music. It might not be, that for somebody else. But I think that helps people whenever they feel that level of, I don't have a purpose. I feel worthless. I don't want to be here. I think by allowing yourself to really find something that truly means something to you, dig deep inside yourself, do that soul searching during that time, you're going to come back with something better than you ever thought. And it's going to be so liberating. You're going to open yourself to the possibility of being you. You're going to look in the mirror again, and it's going to be something that you can actually look at instead of looking away. So I think that's something that people really need to recognize. And when you said, how do we start having those conversations, it's like, talk to people about, like, what do you care about? What do you dream about? Get past those surface level conversations and really start seeing what people really care about. Because you might be able to help somebody with something. You might have that one thing that somebody really needs that could keep them from killing themselves. And just listening to them and just talking to them, you can do that. And I think a lot of these rappers, I think they need somebody to talk to, but they can't do that.
Right.
So they put it in their music. They talk about the fact that I've lost this friend, I got so much pain, I lost a child, this, that, and the other, because they don't know how to go talk to a therapist and stuff like that. So I hope that more of them will open the door to talk about mental health, will actually go see people, and that'll be more reflective, and that'll catch on more than what the drill music and this other music is doing. Because if we can start using the positive platforms, the positive role models to actually explore mental health deeper than just saying, oh, I got a problem, then I think that we can really, really change the conversation, and we can really heal as a community.
Yeah.
Do you think that some of these old heads in the hip-hop game, rap community, DJ community, whatever, just the whole hip-hop community in general, should probably do more of making mental health awareness a thing? Because even though we talk about it amongst the black community right now, we're doing it on our platform, and a lot of other people that we know, they're opening up more about it, but you still don't see the big time, the old heads coming down saying, hey, what we should all do collectively is try and help these young brothers and sisters that are out here in the streets, and their only outlet is to rap about violence, or actually go do violence, or just not look to know that there's a positive way to be. It's not enough of them that are coming back to the younger people saying, look where I am now. I may have went through it a little bit harder, but here I am to come back and help you. I want to help you get through a little bit easier, because it's going to be a lot of hard work, and it's going to be a lot of mental hard work that you're going to have to go to.
Yeah.
Do you think more of that should be done?
I definitely do, but I do want to also highlight. So Royce the 5'9", he does that a lot.
Oh yeah.
He does that a lot. He talks on mental health a lot. He also has suicide hotlines that he'll put in into his posts and stuff like that. I like the fact that what's it called? I think Black Thought does a lot when it comes to speaking on those kind of things. Killer Mike, another one, what I'm saying, who talks about that. I do wish that there were more, but like I said, once again, when it comes to hip hop, it's kind of hard to move forward with a positive message. Like, positivity just does not spread as quick as negativity does when it comes to our culture.
Why is that? Me and BK had a conversation about that. It's like when you start pumping too much positivity into the people, that's when they start kind of like, like that Homer Simpson meme where they just start leaning, you know, fading
back into the grass.
Yeah, fading back into the bush. You know, it's like almost being transparent. You know, we're here for a reason. Like we always say, we're here to facilitate things so we can give positive messages to the community, being transparent, you know. But sometimes I say to BK, we have to break what other people may consider the monotony. You understand what I'm saying? So we'll drop a top 10 this, or we'll drop this is going on. But then what we're truly grounded and what we're here for to do is to be that voice of the people that are voiceless, like you said a long time ago. To steal your words.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. That just came out the dome, brother. Hey, appreciate that though.
Work it.
But that's what I'm saying, and I like the fact that we can do that, but sometimes I hate the fact that we have to change up what we would like to do every single week, sometimes to appease our people. And that's a damn problem. I'm tired of having to appease people.
Yeah.
When all the time everybody's in our face saying, go get it, go get it, go get it. Don't stop, don't stop. Nobody's going to give you anything. You don't need to be appeased, but I need to appease you. Why do I have to do that? I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good.
Yeah.
I'm done now.
But on one point that you made, I just think that the genre of rap, I like to separate them. Like I've become to like dislike rap a little bit, but I love hip hop. You know,
that. I can understand.
And so, but I think that whole genre of like rap has always had the stigma. You know, the stigma of just it's hard. It's you know, it's thug.
Right.
So it ain't
gritty.
You're not gonna find any positivity in that, because if you come incorrect, you know, people are gonna play you soft. It's almost kind of like the prison system.
Oh, yeah.
You go in there thinking, you know, like if you go in there thinking that I'm gonna be just me or whatever, you know, you're gonna always have to play this hard role in order to survive. Yep. It's almost seemed like that same culture has been put into like the music industry. You know,
I agree.
If I come with a soft song or a song about my feelings or a song, you know, dude's gonna try to play me.
You know, it's so funny that you just said that though. Think about this, how that correlates. How many of these young rap artists these days have already done time? I mean, talking about real time,
Right.
before they start making albums. So they already have that jail mentality already built.
It's actually almost like a prerequisite at this point that you have to have those stripes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
which is sad, because like I said earlier, that is trickling down to a younger generation of kids who don't even live that lifestyle, but they feel like I got to go out here and do something, because in order for me to be a rapper now, I got to get in some type of trouble. I got to get some type of street cred.
Yeah, I got to make a name for myself.
You know, I either have to do some time, rob somebody, or whatever the case may be, something to rap about. You know, because if they find that you're making it up,
there is. Yeah. But I also think that there is something to be said about just the word authenticity.
Right.
Right. So if you're not from the street, right? So you're not talking about the streets, but you're talking about a struggle that you go through. You're going to get respected in hip hop, because you're not talking and you're not making something up.
Right.
So I think that if you're going to at least just be true to who you are, then that should work. But you're right. When it does come to people like Slim Jesus, I don't know if y'all remember that guy. Right. He tried to hop into the Chicago drill scene and stuff like that. And I think it was like a DJ Vlad conversation. It's like, so, you know, tell us about you. Something. I don't really be out here catching bodies and stuff. But that kind of stuff can get you killed. I hate to say that, and I don't condone it. I don't think it's right. But that's the culture that has been fostered. So you're right. Trying to get these kids to mimic a lifestyle that can get them killed, even though they don't live it, is just it's messed up from the get-go. Yeah. So I think that there has to be, you know, some type of way that we figure out how to solve that problem, but I don't want it to be where we have to try to come up with some hip-hop police type thing either.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we still need the freedom of what hip-hop
exactly.
is.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because that was the premise of it from the beginning, to force free speech for us.
So speaking of mental health or whatever,
Hey.
do you catch that Genius?
I have not. I've seen clips, so I think I know what you're talking about.
All right, let me ask you a question. You think Kanye is a genius?
Do I think Kanye is a genius? Okay. Genius, I think when they say that word, one thing that they all have in common is that they push the boundaries of what society expects to happen. And they are extraordinary in doing such. Genius doesn't necessarily have to be positive or negative, right? So in certain aspects, I think he has reached genius level in his production, in the way that he understands music, musicality, the way that he understands the way certain parts of the world operate. Because it's like he'll say something stupid in 2012, and then in 2017, you're like, huh.
That was quite profound.
I get that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he's prophetic or anything like that, but I do think that he does have a certain neural pathway that allows him to see the world differently. And I think that is what is one of the prerequisites to be genius. So I think he has genius in him. And I also think he has stupidity in him, you know, because there's both of those coins.
Right.
And I think to me personally, I think he's more hit than miss, because I think that he does things in a way that we're like, I don't get that. But then when we see it work, it's like, oh, okay. Like he was $60 million in debt. Everybody was laughing. He's asking Bill Gates and all them. Yeah. Now he's the richest rapper ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like things happen. You know what I'm saying? So you just never really know. So it takes genius to get to that level, I think. You know what I'm saying? But I also disagree with pretty much most things that he says.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of feel like from that stuff alone, so much of the negativity, I understand what you're saying, all of the things that he's done to almost reach genius status. But I still feel like there's so much that he just did so wrong, I can't consider him a genius. Like me and BK spoke about this. He had so many people, you know, around him, pushing him, and his mother especially, you know, was right there. And I mean, not just like a regular mother. This was mom.
Oh, Donda was a
teammate,
true warrior.
And that's what I was going to talk about.
Right.
Not to cut you off, he was prophetic in some. If you watch the documentary, he was prophetic in some things. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
He actually said this before he was even big, and it's documented and recorded, and it actually happened. You know, but I went into it. I got a homeboy that swears by it that he's a genius. That's for you. Finna break that all up. So, but after watching it, it's almost a little bit more than a genius, but he's not a genius. I just think that's what it looks like when somebody instill things in you and give you agency. And like his mom, when you have undying support and from like your number one supporter, no matter what you do in life, your mama is probably going to be your number one supporter. You can be married.
Out to Ma Duke. Man. Shout out.
Shout out all mom.
Your mama is going to be your biggest supporter. And if you watch the documentary, she was there every step of the way. I mean, she was spitting one of his rhymes when he was like a kid.
Yeah.
And helping him remember. You know?
You don't remember that when you was doing that song? When you was sitting right over on the couch. Let me tell you how it go.
Yeah, she was spitting it or whatever. And then I was like, you know what? That's really just, I don't think he's a genius. I just think how successful he got is when you have somebody in your corner that backs you and supports you unconditionally and gives you every bit of agency that you need in order to grow. And I think that's just what self-determination looks like when somebody just puts that in you.
Right. Now, see, I think that's what it is. He's one of the most self-determined people ever.
It's confidence.
He pushed through a lot.
Don't you think, though, that there still has to be the melting pot between self-determination and talent that can make that?
Yeah.
Because as self-determined as you can be, if you can't hoop, you ain't making it to the NBA.
Yeah.
Right. I understand that.
He's talented, very talented.
But there's geniuses that he's not Quincy Jones.
He's not Prince.
Yeah.
I would say that.
No, he's not. But what he has done for that style of hip hop is genius. He has pushed that.
Yeah.
He has turned. When you create a sound, I think that is genius level.
See,
with help, fine.
But I'm saying, that sound, you know what I'm going to say about that sound. That sound is not his sound. Dr. Dre started that sound first.
G-Funk and soul samples are two
the big time hip hop people.
What do you mean? No, I'm saying like G-Funk that Dr. Dre started with the synthesizers and that kind of stuff right there versus what the East Coast soul samples that Kanye was doing, to me, is completely different. So songs like No Love in the City and songs that he would do for DMX and stuff like that are a complete contrast from what, you know, Ain't Nothing But a G thing or you know what I'm saying? So without a doubt, I think that they're both pioneers. Let's put it like that. I think they're both pioneers.
That's the word.
Now, is Dre better? To me, yes. Yeah. Does Dre have a bigger impact in hip hop? Yes. But is that to take away from Kanye? I don't think so. But You're right. I mean, he has had help. There's other things that have been, attributed to his name as far as ghostwriting. We know Consequence and Sci-Hi and a whole bunch of people have wrote for him. So as far as writing and stuff like that, I don't put that up there. But I do think that he has been able to change things in a way that I think only geniuses do. Does that make him a genius? I don't know. That's to be told later. But I think that he has pushed the game, and I think that he pushes the conversation enough that we keep calling him that, whether he is or not. I think that's genius, to get people to at least believe you are based off of everything. I think there's some type of genius in that, but I think I can't call him a genius. I just think he has levels of it.
Right.
That makes sense.
All right. So before we wrap it up, we just had a good conversation on mental health and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Based on your personal experiences and on just experiences of people in general. Where do we need to go from here, and what needs to be done? I know we threw a few things out there, like, talk to somebody or whatever, but I know it has to be a little bit deeper than that. It's got to be some, I guess, self-development and some external development as far as what we talked about with your circle or whatnot, having the right circle. So
definitely,
just before we end, what do you want to chime in on some things that could be done, talking to the people or whatnot? Yeah. Where do we need to go from here?
Like I said, first and foremost is we have to at least have some type of conversation. We have to open the door to conversation. We as individuals have to be willing to listen when somebody has an issue. That's the first thing. Empathy. We need empathy. We need more empathy within the community. Empathize with people. Put yourself in their shoes, seeing what they're going through and understanding. You might not be able to tell them the answer. You might not be able to give them, the best solution. But sometimes all they need is just an ear. They just need to talk it out. They might need to vent. They might need to just explain, this is what's going on, man, my girl, my man, or my job, or this, that, and the other. And they realize that what they thought was a whole list of problems is really just one nagging situation that they just had to get to. So I think just opening the door and being receptive, allowing people to know, hey, you can talk to me. Also, if you are somebody like us who pushes and advocates for mental health, I say start pushing more resources. Reach out to organizations that see if they have seminars, and stuff like that, and then promote that kind of stuff to the audiences that you have. Talk to the people. Do mental health check-ins. Don't just ask, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Like, yo, how are you doing? How is your mental? You know what I'm saying? What you got going on? And have real conversations. And definitely see somebody. If you don't think that you have the money to see somebody, that is definitely an issue. But there are resources online that can make it a lot more easier for you to see somebody. Definitely do that. And like I said, just take it one day at a time, one moment at a time. You are going to get overwhelmed. That's how life is. It's just going to happen.
Yes,
Stress is going to happen. Problems are going to happen. Issues are going to ensue. But taking time to be kind to yourself, that's one thing that we don't do. We have so much negative self-talk going on. You got to be kind to yourself. That's also where it starts too. Like, love yourself. Self-love, self-care, that also starts with that. Taking care of yourself, hygiene, going and doing things that you really, really enjoy doing. Sometimes you might need to take a mental health day.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
go
take
to
a
the
day.
park or, just watch a show, binge something, just chill. Turn it off, dissociate, do whatever you need to do, you know what I'm saying, and take care of yourself. And not only give mental check-ins to your homies and your friends, do it to yourself.
Right.
Ask yourself, where am I at right now? How am I feeling? Yeah. So for me, it's like, yo, Mike, what's up? What's good? How are you right now? And I respond, and I'll have conversations, and I'll talk, and I'll actually realize, wow, I wasn't as good as I thought, or all right, I'm doing better than I thought. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be real with yourself. And it starts with being real with yourself, starts with having conversations, and it starts with empathy, and it ends with love. That's how I see it.
Yeah. That was dope. And
yes.
So, and that's one of the things I'm kind of working on now is, we didn't talk about it a little bit, but social media. That I talked to a homeboy one day, and it was just so enlightening just hearing him talk about how he deleted it off his phone. And because he said he just had to disconnect.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. And that's where I'm trying to find that balance is I do a lot of just stuff on the side, the business or the podcast or photography. So I feel like I'm always on there trying to promote myself. So I have to be on there. So I don't have to be, but I have to be on there in order to engage, to upload my stuff or in our stuff dealing with the podcast. But I find myself getting distracted, and now I'm looking at a reel, and I done got like how did I go from uploading my pictures to now I'm like,
So don't stop looking at the videos, man.
I done went through like 20 minutes of reels, and I put the phone down. Like, how did I get here? Because I just told myself I'm just gonna load this stuff up, and then I'm gonna put the phone down. You know, now I've got sucked in because that stuff can get addictive.
You know, we should. You know, everybody wants to do this fasting stuff. It should be a social media fast.
That's what I've been trying to do. So I said I'm going to pick some days out of the week.
No, we need to do it as community.
Disconnect.
We need to do it as community. We need to set it up. Say, put out a little flyer or whatever. Hey, y'all, April such and such day. April 3rd through the 5th. We're gonna have social media fasting.
We did that Blackout Coalition last
Right.
year. You know what I'm saying? July 7th. It's like everybody just put the black picture up and no posting.
I think we need to do something like that.
Yeah.
Make
your last post at 12.
We stopped the Jordan release by doing that. Jordans were about to release on that certain day. And they were like, nah, we're going to do a blackout. And they actually changed the date of the release of them because there was going to be like no real promotion and everything like that.
Because you know what? Because it's us that spend all the damn money in the world. And they knew we wasn't about to be out there. There wasn't no point in them launching it. And that's a damn shame.
It is,
But that's the truth.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So, Mike, one more other thing, man. Go ahead and plug yourself.
Oh, no.
Plug,
You got to do.
we can get to that.
Oh, we going to let them plug. Oh, I thought we did that first. Then let them plug it in.
Yeah, let them plug yourself.
So
podcast, everything.
Yeah. So Controversial Conversation is the podcast that I host. We are definitely coming back real soon. We got a lot of things, a lot of segments that we're going to be talking about: politics, social, cultural, psychology, and we're really going to do some deep dives into some stuff that I really, really want to kind of bring more awareness to. So I'm really looking forward to getting back with that. Musically, I am back rapping. I'm loving it. I got this project called Therapeutic Vibes Volume 1 will be coming out soon. I'm really, really excited for people to hear that. And I got a 26-piece manuscript, spoken word, MCJ collection. Beautiful, beautiful story from beginning to end. And I am very, very, very excited for people to really get a chance to see that. I think it's something that can really change the way that we perceive spoken word.
Right.
It's very different. It's a circular story. It's beautiful. It's from beginning to end, creation, destruction. So I've just been having a lot of fun just getting back into my creative mode. But as far as the services that we're offering, if y'all need anything, give me a holler. We got political strategizing services. We got writing services, a whole bunch of different things over at Open Minded Productions.
Right.
So just, holler at me. And we got a lot of things going on.
Okay, cool.
Sounds fantastic.
Hey, so before we get started with that, I can really touch bases with you on that spoken words. That's actually how I got started. So it's like the spoken words came first. And then, I'll take it back. Productions, making music came first. And then I started the spoken words because I was like, let me start making some tracks and spit on them or whatever. And then it went from the spoken words to the actual transforming into lyrics. So I do have a passion for spoken words. So I'm really interested in hearing that. And I can tell by the name of the album, whatever, that's just something that I'm going to probably like, because like names and words matter.
They do.
They
do.
They do.
All right. So Steve's going to hit you with the 5 words.
Okay.
All right, 5 words for today. Mike Jones.
Yes, sir.
Mike Jones. Mike Jones. All right, first one.
Tired of hearing that, right?
Oh man, since high school.
I can't help it though. I gotta do it. All right, mental health.
Important.
Hip hop.
Love it.
Perception.
Everything.
Freedom.
Never had it.
Mike Jones.
The man.
There it is.
All right, give it up for Mike Jones.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, so that was our conversation on mental health, and it's such a diverse conversation and extended. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have Mike back on to,
of course,
keep talking about other things evolving around mental health because there's so many different categories when we're talking about mental health. But one thing that I took away from him talking that I want to challenge people to do is I want to challenge people to hit 5 people up, at least 5 people.
Yeah,
hit them up. And say, how are you doing?
That's a great idea.
Check them. Like, don't just give me that. No, I'm straight. I'm good. Everything's all right. No, let's talk. Especially if we friends and we in the same circle. Find 5 people and just try to have a different conversation. And I want you to challenge them and ask them how they're really doing.
Just 5 people, y'all. It's
Just
not
5
hard.
people. Just 3. If you don't know 5 people, do 3.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
if not, call me.
Yeah.
Call BK.
Hit me up.
We're here. I guarantee you, I'll talk to you whenever you need anybody to talk to. Because we
we'll
don't want
talk.
anybody to go through these things that we've gone through.
Yeah.
We're here to help.
Yeah, exactly. So other than that, like I say, I appreciate you tuning in and checking us out on this conversation. You know, this is what we like. Being transparent, speaking truth to power, and just being open and honest about good conversations. Because in order to get to the root of a solution, I think we got to actually have a conversation first. And then maybe we can find a good solution on how to get over these things that we're going through, whether it's mental health, whether it's racism or
Finances.
mental
jobs,
abuse, finance,
everything.
You know, so yeah, we just had those great conversations a couple of weeks ago
Yes.
on
Credit.
what was it? Building breaking
Financial barriers with the 100 black men of making middle
so,
Georgia.
you know, we want to keep having these conversations, and we're going to keep having them, whether they're popular or whether they're not talking about this, that, or the third or whatever. You know, it might be boring to some people, whatever, but these are the things that we're affected by in our community.
Yes.
And if we don't talk about it, then we're going to keep sitting there complaining and being at the bottom of the list and wondering, like, why they treating us like this? Why
haven't I heard this before? Ain't nobody talking about it. Well, here it is. We talking about it.
So no excuses.
No excuses.
So as I say, I'm your host, BK.
And I'm your host, Jay Steve.
Peace.
Thank you for checking out another episode of the Soul Fresh Podcast. If you want to catch the audio version, make sure you go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want to check out the video version, make sure you head on over to YouTube. And when you get there, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and go ahead and turn on that notification bell. And in the meantime, until the next time, keep it 100, be blessed.